The recent speculation regarding a potential merger among the three primary opposition parties, Peter Obi of the Labour Party, Atiku Abubakar of the PDP, and Rabiu Kwankwaso of the NNPP, has been the topic of discussion. Arise TV recently reported on this, sparking a diverse range of reactions. While some view the merger as a strategic move to counter the APC, particularly if the election is nullified in court, others remain skeptical about the feasibility of such a merger. It's worth considering how the assumption that the only outcome of the presidential election petition tribunal would be election cancellation was reached. The court must consider a multitude of requests from the petitioners, and the election's cancellation is just one aspect. Despite the substantial evidence presented in court about non-compliance, including a claim that over 25 million votes cannot be accounted for, it's important to note that this doesn't imply that a single candidate received all those unaccounted votes. According to legal standards, if the margin between the top two candidates is smaller than the unaccounted votes, the election should have been deemed inconclusive by INEC. The failure to do so may lead the court to potentially annul the election. However, it's crucial to recognize that the court's deliberation isn't centered solely on this factor. The delay in announcing the verdict is likely because the judges are striving to ascertain a definitive winner. Let's break this down step by step. To begin with, let's address matters related to constitutionality. Interpreting the relevant section of the Constitution about the 25% requirement should not take a judge more than a couple of hours. This time frame accounts for potential research into similar judicial precedents. Some experts have suggested that the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal could finalize its decision within a week by focusing solely on constitutional aspects. This suggests that addressing the 25% requirement could be relatively swift. Moving on to the issue of Tinubu's qualification for the presidential election, most of the concerns raised, including his forfeiture of narcotics, proceeds to the United States government, allegations of certificate forgery, undisclosed dual nationality on his INEC form, invalid nomination, and the double nomination of Shettima, are constitutional. In a court setting, it's customary for the accused to counter allegations with evidence. Remarkably, Tinubu's legal team made no effort to refute these claims. For instance, arguing that an expired passport equates to expired citizenship isn't a strong contention and doesn't disprove his citizenship. The essence of citizenship isn't solely based on a passport's validity. It's a broader concept. Applying constitutional provisions can help settle these matters. Similarly, the matter of certificate forgery is relatively straightforward. The court has both certificates before them, and there's minimal need for prolonged deliberation. The Constitution is clear that anyone involved in certificate forgery is subject to disqualification. This provision offers a clear guideline for judgment. Regarding the failure to appoint a new vice presidential candidate within 14 days after the withdrawal of the initial nominee, the law specifies that a fresh primary should be conducted if this deadline isn't met. The APC, however, continued with Tinubu's candidacy without adhering to this requirement, potentially violating the law. Determining this aspect is relatively simple. Did they comply with the 14-day rule? If not, applying constitutional principles should guide the judgment. Summing up, the points raised by the petitioners that hinge on constitutional matters could be resolved relatively quickly, possibly within a few hours or days, rather than an extended period. The court's prolonged deliberation likely stems from the extensive evidence presented, as they seek to establish a definitive winner. The hope remains that the judges will adhere to their commitment to assess all matters on their merits without being swayed by technicalities. Returning to the speculations about a potential merger, it's unlikely that Peter Obi would agree to such a move at this juncture. He likely believes he holds a strong position for a potential victory. Let's consider the scenario where the election gets cancelled as the sole outcome. All candidates have gauged their popularity, knowing who holds stronger appeal. Would Peter Obi, for instance, step aside for Atiku Abubakar? Atiku once believed he could dominate the North entirely, leading to a degree of arrogance. He seemed to overlook the Southern demand for power shift following 8 years under Buhari's leadership. Atiku's optimism about carrying the North while winning a few Southern states didn't materialize as he hoped. Even some of the Southern states he secured might have witnessed election manipulation by sympathetic governors. Similarly, Rabiu Kwankwaso's previous statements dismissing Southern or Igbo candidates seemed to contrast with the outcome of the election. The very candidates he underestimated performed better than anticipated in northern regions. Post-election, it's clearer who holds more popularity among them. Notably, none of the pre-election presidential polls predicted Atiku's triumph. In contrast, Peter Obi consistently emerged as the frontrunner in these surveys, although a couple of polls cited high voter turnout as the determining factor for a win. This connects to the assertion that INEC suppressed votes in strongholds of the Labour Party, evident in the missing 25 million votes. This brings us to the judge's prolonged deliberations. The evidence presented includes the 18,000 unclear copies given to the Labour Party, which, when examined in conjunction with over 10,000 polling unit results, tallies up to approximately 2.5 million votes for the party. Adding this to Peter Obi's recorded 6.1 million votes would bring his total to 8.6 million, placing him in the second position. Further assessment involves annulling elections due to overvoting, particularly in regions where it was prominent, such as Kogi. Deductions, including determining actual scores from the blurred copies, could shift Peter Obi's position to second or third. The BVAS report and CTCs suggest that APC would face substantial losses if elections with overvoting are invalidated, considering their considerable gains in such instances. Judges are faced with intricate calculations and pressures in this complex matter. However, the mounting pressure might backfire. The scenario of frustrated judges possibly opting for complete cancellation due to external pressure remains plausible. While not an excuse, all public officials need to honor their oaths of office. Justice isn't a favor, it's an obligation. Upholding justice and building a united Nigeria are collective responsibilities shared by everyone, including leaders and judges. It's essential to recognize that no one is above playing a part in Nigeria's progress. While awaiting justice, it's wise to remain open-minded, hoping for a just outcome. However, this openness hinges on justice being served. The judgment day must occur on or before September 16th, adhering to the 180-day time frame for determining the election petition as stipulated by law. Justice is on the horizon. If you are watching our video for the first time, I suggest you subscribe to our channel for more interesting and captivating information. Turn on the bell notification to get alert on all our recent posts so you won't miss out any. Share your thought in the comment section and share these videos with family, friends, and concerned Nigerians. Thanks for watching.